But when we set out to do this event, we thought we'd have a couple hundred people maybe sign up and maybe 130 or 140 show up. I think we ended up pushing 270 people signing up, and oh my gosh, I think we're pushing 200 plus in this room. So thank you all for taking the time to come. My apologies for the lineup at the front door, but hopefully you had an opportunity to meet somebody you hadn't met before and have a conversation with somebody that was interesting. So we look for the positive in those types of things. Welcome to Union Hall. This is our home for Flywheel Social Enterprise Hub. And if you don't know a whole lot about us, you can come see me later, but our name says what we do. We are the hub for social entrepreneurship in this community. Two things you need to know. First of all, safety is important. If you need to exit this building, you go out the side door or you go down the steps, and there are two sets of exit stairways for you as well there. Second of all, if you need to use the restroom, there are a couple on this floor, there are a couple downstairs, and there are a couple upstairs as well. So he or she who gets there first will not have to wait in line. Union Hall has been our home for the last 3 years. And I can't think of anything more impactful in accelerating the work of, and in fact, the impact of the social entrepreneurs that we support than being here. It enables us to have a beautiful facility like this for a meeting. It allows us to connect with people who otherwise we would never get to know and can offer a lot in the way of social impact. And so it is with deep gratitude that we say thank you to Centrifuge for being here. And with that, what I'd like to do is to introduce the new CEO of Centrifuge, Pete Blackshall. Come on up, Pete.
Thanks so much. It's wonderful to be here, and the work that you're doing is incredibly important. In fact, I dare say that work like this is what really excited and motivated me to leave a pretty amazing job in Switzerland and come back to Cincinnati. One thing I really, really missed in my 8 years abroad was the community connection, the social conviction, the convergence of kind of business and social ambition, which I see every day as I look at Bill and Josie. In fact, I dare say that there's an energy field on our floor because we work about 20 feet away, and I know really, really important work is underway. Consider Centrifuge your home, Union Hall. This is a facility beyond just the Flywheel event here. It's available to you. It's intended to be, kind of an anchor of community engagement. At the end of the day, we're all innovators, whether we're pushing innovation on the business side or on the social side, and we're here to empower you. We have an absolutely fantastic team that works with entrepreneurs, in some cases finding them capital, working with our syndicate fund, but we see big possibilities in Cincinnati. This is a community that, it's kind of amazing since I left. I believed in it before I started in one of the early startups on Main Street back in 2000, and what I've seen in this community is really, really remarkable. And I, for one, am very eager to kind of give back. I'm very eager to get much closer to the great work that you're doing, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the presentations and, importantly, kind of spreading the word. And I think that's one thing that's important for all of us, based on what we see, is to really kind of spread the word and kind of create a very positive viral effect, because this work needs to spread. We need to build visibility, and we need to evangelize to others to kind of carry the good work forward. So best of luck to all the presenters, and I look forward to learning much more about your presentations. And a big, very sincere acknowledgement and thanks to Bill and Josie and your entire organization. I can't underscore enough how much of an impact it's having on the community, on the choice that I made to kind of come back here, and let's keep moving it. Thanks.
Thank you, Pete. Actually, one of the things that you need to know about Pete is how great he is a communicator on social media. And so if you're not following him, I encourage you to do that. And speaking of social media, we do have 3 Facebook connections there you can make. So at Startup Cincy gets you connected to this larger community, at Flywheel Cincinnati, and at Social Enterprise Cincy. All good ways to talk about the work that we're doing here. Speaking of good things, also on tomorrow, right? Who has been to the Consumer Electronics Show? Anybody been there? Anybody want to go? Yeah, there's a few people want to go. Well, how would you like to go without having to go? And there's actually going to be a little something, you'll see a post about it later this evening again, about the CES show and how you kind of get the insider's view from here at Union Hall. Speaking of thank yous, one of the things that typically happens at any of these events is the thank yous come at the end. And we couldn't do what we do without the help of a lot of very important folks. So we decided we were going to flip it around and put it at the very beginning. Oh, that's me. You don't need to thank me. But I just want to call out, we have 10 super dedicated coaches who have served as mentors for these companies. You can see their names and see their faces and their affiliations. And then we have both in Roy and in Melise, our EIR and our super coach, great assets for us because we couldn't do it without the coaches. To do something like this takes financial support. And since Flywheel was started in 2011, we've had great support from United Way and the Carol Ann and Ralph D. Hale Jr. Foundation of U.S. Bank. Tremendous supporters. So if you see anybody from United Way, if you see Ross Meyer there, or you see Eric Abner, he may be here tonight, I know he's there. He is back in the back. Tell him thank you, because it's so important for what they do for us. In addition, we've had great support for Social Enterprise Cincy and the entire elevator project from the U.S. Bank Foundation, and also 2 charitable trusts, the John A. Schroth Trust through PNC, and the Jacob Schmidlap Trust through Fifth Third Bank. So couldn't do it without. And then when it comes to really making impact in this community, $1 is worth something, but an investment of time and an investment of energy and just being an advocate for our work is huge. And to that, I want to really call out 3 organizations, EY, Ernst & Young, for those of you who don't know EY, TruePoint Wealth Council, and Social Venture Partners have been instrumental in providing a real partnership for this organization. For Demo Day today, we have impact sponsors. This means what you're seeing today comes from the resources and general support from the Greater Cincinnati Foundation, from the Women's Business Center, which is part of ECDI, relatively new, housed in this building. If you don't know enough about it, come see me. I sit on the board of that organization. Kinetic Ventures and Queen City Angels, you may be familiar with those as investing organizations in this community. And then finally, every week we meet with the cohort and we feed them. And so thanks to 3 Quarters Capital, Ducks in a Row, and the Cincinnati Development Fund for helping finance that, but also provide content as well. So with that, one other thing I didn't mention, and that is the contributors we have. You also see those listed in our program as well. So those organizations have been very helpful. So with that, I'm going to turn the program over to our program manager, Josie Dalton, who has like 3x the energy that I have. So anyway.
First of all, quick show of hands. Who is at our kickoff event in September? Okay, awesome. Welcome back. For those of you who are not here, welcome anyway. At that event, I did mention how lucky I thought all of you guys were that you get to see kind of a behind-the-scenes sneak peek first look at what these companies are going to do over the next 15 weeks. In the past 15 weeks, they have done more than I could have ever imagined in my wildest hopes and dreams. So I am super proud of the progress they've made. And I want the mosaic of people that Bill thanked to reflect the fact that there is a huge community of people all here to support them and accelerate them. That really speaks to, I think, how lucky we are to be in an ecosystem like Cincinnati, where there's such collective support for not only startups, but for social impact companies like that who are determined to make a difference. So on that note, while our companies span all kinds of different areas of social impact that are tremendously important, they use totally different business models in different industries, they share the common bond of being social entrepreneurs in that in executing on their business model, meeting an identified market need, and generating a profit, they are generating the resources to grow and improve their impact and change the world. In order to do so, they need to get started. So we have frame them to ask of you connections with customers, talent, and capital. Like Pete said, are some of the key things that a startup needs, and that we know the community will rally around them to provide. So with that, I have been waiting for this moment for 15 weeks. I am super pumped. I want to thank all of our coaches and mentors again, the contributors, everyone who has made this program possible, and invite you all to talk to the companies more after these pitches. They have a lot more to tell you than they can pack into these 5 to 7 minutes. So with that, I think I'll bring up the CEO of WonderFund, Marvin Abrinica, to introduce our first company, Last Mile Food Rescue.
Good evening. How are you? Good. I say good evening. How are you? Good. All right, my name is Marvin Abrinica. I'm the CEO of WonderFund. WonderFund is a regulation crowdfunding portal. We help companies raise capital, and we help them by getting everyday people like you investing in those companies, as little as $100 all the way up to 10% of your income. That's what you're up to. Okay, but I'm really excited today to introduce Last Mile, and the reason is because of their mission. I want you just to imagine for one moment that you go to a farm. Okay, so you're a farmer, and you spent all spring planting and plowing, and you spent the summer growing and watering all these plants, and it's harvest season now. And the next day you're going to get your combine out, you got your whole crew out, and you're gonna start harvesting all that food that's out there. But when you wake up, the field is on fire. What would you do? I would imagine that you go out there and you would, if I'm on fire, you're calling everybody to come save those crops, right? Now, of course, that's just a story, but I want you to know that 40% of food that goes onto the shelves is lost. That food is on fire. And these guys have a solution to fix that. That's why it's so important, because there are so many people going hungry right now, and these guys have figured out how to get that food, prevent it from getting spoiled, and get it into the hands of the people who need it. Okay? I've known Tom for the last 15 years. He was a boss of mine when I was at Procter & Gamble. He's a good friend of mine. He's a mentor, and the dude he's worked with the chamber. He knows his shit. My French. I know other French words, by the way. Jeffrey, I've known for the last 2 years. He is fully in when it comes to food rescue. He knows his shit too, right? He's done a whole bunch of work around this area. He's figured out the tech behind this whole thing. He's putting all those pieces together, and that's why I'm so excited to see what these guys are doing. I hope they're going to start raising capital too soon too. All right. So without further ado, let me introduce Tom and Jeffrey from Last Mile.
Marvin is my Filipino brother from another mother, so Marvin, I love you to death. Good evening. My name is Tom Fernandez, and I'm the CEO of Last Mile Food Rescue.
My name is Jeffrey Miller. I'm the COO of Last Mile. Thank you very much for coming tonight. We're excited to have this opportunity to be talking to all of you.
I hope you believe, as we do, that it is sad and completely unacceptable that 270,000 of our neighbors here in the Cincinnati region lack access to affordable, nutritious food. And what you might find even more surprising is that our workforce has food insecurity too. In fact, 46% of the households in need have at least one working adult in them.
It's coupled with that, as Marvin said, that 40% of our food supply winds up in a landfill.
It's really with these facts that Jeffrey and I sought to create Last Mile. We have a unique social enterprise that focuses on removing the barriers that inhibit food donations. So, what makes us unique? First, we will clearly demonstrate to food donors that we provide an extra tax incentive to incent them to donate more. We appeal to their bottom line. And second, I'm really pumped about this. we are creating a fantastically crazy, energized network of food rescue heroes. And they're going to drive that last mile from the donor to the pantry. And we're going to enable them smartly through technology.
So let's take a look at a real-life example of how we're going to accomplish our mission. Take Lawrence Jones, a local business owner and founder and local wholesaler. Lawrence has food excess in his inventory, and he's looking for ways to do something good with it, but he's not sure what his options are. So by consulting with Last Mile Food Rescue, we sit with Lawrence and found out we've been able to create 500,000 pounds of donatable food. From that donatable food, we can create $250,000 of enhanced incremental tax benefit for Lawrence's company. From that money that we generate from Lawrence, our service fee comes out of that. We take a 25% service fee on what we generate from him to operate our company. To see how that plays out further, once we've established the donation process, then we engage our volunteers to transport the food from our donors to the pantries that have this need. And with that, we'd like to just emphasize that this is a proprietary volunteer base. We're not going to tap into the existing, we don't want to interfere with the existing processes that are there. We're going to start fresh. And then this is all going to culminate in the technology that we're going to either create or build or partner with to bring all of these components together to increase our efficiencies. We want to make sure that our donors and our volunteers and our pantries work seamlessly together, as well as work seamlessly together with our backend systems to make this efficient and scalable.
$2 billion is the market value of the donatable food that we're going after. And what's crazy is that for every pound of food that's rescued in the United States currently, 5 more pounds is available. That's just nuts. So we have work to do. From a financial goal standpoint, our goal is to be self-funded, really through revenue that we gain from our food customers. Now, what that means is that in the early years, we're going to rely on traditional philanthropy, individual donations, corporate donations, and foundations. But as you can see, what we expect is by year 5, over 60% of our operating needs will come from earned revenue. Tonight, we're super pumped to announce that Last Mile Food Rescue has been selected by the Cincinnati Chamber's Leadership Action Class 5. And what that means is for the next 5 months, 8 executives from some of our leading corporations and nonprofits will directly coach us. And what they're going to help us do is work on our marketing plan and make sure that corporations, folks with food, understand the tax benefits and how they can work with us to achieve their financial goals. Now, the Cincinnati Chamber's leadership programs have birthed some of and have influenced some of the region's most important projects, including Preschool Promise, Red Bike, and Crayons to Computers. So we want Last Mile to be next.
Our professional experience is going to be of great value to our startup as well.
And from my standpoint, I'm a current chamber employee in the Minority Business Accelerator. So I know what drives the vibrancy of our region, and I know how to help disadvantaged groups effectively. My 23 years experience in supply chain at P&G is going to help us act more efficiently. And my current board work at City Gospel Mission says that people in need wraparound services, but the end of poverty starts with food.
My background in CPG marketing and institutional culinary background is going to be valuable as well. But I really have to say thanks to People's Liberty and to Green Umbrella organization here in Cincinnati, who over the last 2 years have given me the opportunity to create and pilot some unique programs, which all has been a cornerstone of what we're talking about here today. So thank you to both of those organizations. So our ask to you this tonight, we're looking for clients. We're looking for companies that have excess food inventories, that they're looking to monetize in new ways, or redistribute in new ways, or donate in new ways. These could be hotels, convention centers, multi-unit restaurants, commercial or retail grocery or wholesalers or brokers. So if you have those relationships or you'd like to let us introduce someone to us, that would be great. We also do have a $150,000 philanthropy cap, so if you're interested in investing in us, we'd love to talk to you as well. We're also got our eyes out for a CTO, Chief Technology Officer and Chief Financial Officer, so we're looking for recommendations as those as well.
So come talk to us after the program tonight. We're going to be at the table over there. And thank you very much.
Next, I would like to bring up Jason Chamley from the Pleasant Ridge Community Development Corporation to introduce Community Happens Here.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jason Chamley. I'm the president of the Pleasant Ridge Development Corporation. The goal of our organization is to have a thriving neighborhood business district as the centerpiece of a vibrant, inclusive community. That's why I'm so excited at the opportunity for the Community Happens Here project that's preparing to break ground. This will be a place rooted, located in our business district that will serve as the intersection of the different segments of our community, bringing everyone together under one roof for one common purpose of building our community. I'm equally excited to have Ruth Ann Wolf be the one leading the effort to bring this vision to life. Ruth Ann brings a very impressive track record of social entrepreneurship, community activism, along with boundless energy and an undying passion for the benefit of our community. She's been able to draw on her extensive experience, both professionally as an attorney, as well as civically in various leadership roles in our neighborhood, as well as throughout the city, to successfully develop and advance this project. Not only is she extremely capable and very much up to the task, but she's the absolute right person for our community to be doing this. With that, I'd like to introduce Ruth Ann Wolf.
I'm Ruth Ann Wolf, and I'm here, as you are, to know this, to build community. So, I'm curious, when you sat down, did you notice the cone of silence between you and the next person? That polite nod as you looked at your program? So, no, I want you to do me a favor and turn to someone and say hello. Right now. Turn to somebody, say hello. Say hello. Okay, that's enough. Come back. Now, that was cool, or maybe it was a little awkward. Hey, look at me. Thank you. Don't talk. That was maybe a little awkward, but that's fine, because when you break that silence, you unleash the power of community. Community Happens Here creates community through entrepreneurship and conversation. In our business model, we have a cafe, co-working space, and community meeting rooms, 4 different sized meeting rooms, that will create a sustainable source of revenue for our operations. This not only sustains, but creates the impact. Why entrepreneurship and conversation? Well, in my after-school entrepreneurship class, I want you to meet 2 beautiful young girls, Julie and Jayla. So, in our program, we ask the girls to dream up big business ideas. One of the girls dreamed up and said, I want to do an art store with a cafe that welcomes dogs. Ooh. The other girl said her biggest dream was to be a convenience store clerk. Well, I was stunned. And I thought, okay, for Jayla, it's not about being smart or studying hard, but about limited life experience and vision. And I said, entrepreneurship can give her a broader vision, and I vowed to bring that to the community. When Jayla and others like her are in the cafe, they are learning, experiencing things that will help them to bring ideas to true business capacity. And around them will be people co-working who are doing the same thing. This is what I call workforce development. Through conversation, through connection, and through being with other people who are doing the same thing. In our co-working, with our inclusive pricing and entrepreneurship support, we will be able to have diversity and idea exchange, making everyone's businesses grow better. And space creates possibilities. Possibilities to meet new people and encounter new ideas for Jayla and lots of other people. We're proud that some of our founding sponsors and members are here tonight. Yay! There's lots of more room on this for you. We chose Pleasant Ridge because of its resurgent economics, its wide range of professions and incomes, and its great business community. It's also my home and my community. It's our community. Simeon's here tonight, by the way. Simeon and Jade, say hello. They run our program. He did that whole last summer program by himself. Felt this help. So this community-embedded economic development brings out the unrealized value and potential of Kamaya and of Chris and of Jeffrey, who is ready to teach tailoring to young people. This sad little building is our start, and we are ready we've finished demolition, planning, design, and permitting to start construction this January. It's pretty gorgeous. That's going to bring sidewalk hospitality to Pleasant Ridge. You need a great board to get something like this off the ground, and I'm very pleased that I have a wonderful board and advisors who have been walking me along this path. And it takes a visionary leader. This project benefits from my 15 years of community activism and 30 years of law practice, nonprofit management, and business experience. It also comes from the heart. I care deeply, and so do you, about what we can do to change things for the better, to make things better in a sustainable way. I believe in this so deeply, I have already personally invested $200,000 in this project and have $300,000 more ready to start construction. I challenge you, what are you going to do to keep this going? I have some options for you. So we need investment, we need partnerships and sponsors, and we need customers for the co-working and for the meeting rooms. I ask you to please think yourself if you fit into any of these categories, or if you know someone who does. Please join me in building a place where conversation ignites ideas, where everyone, Julie and Jayla, their parents, their neighbors, and their friends are all equally comfortable, equally valued. A place where entrepreneurship and conversation fuel each other and make things better. I'm happy to talk to you afterwards, and I have all my other wonderful people here to talk to you too. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, next I'd like to bring up Paul McCreary to introduce screen education.
Good evening, Union Hall. How it's true they say about Cincinnati. Weather doesn't stop us from getting out, does it? So as Josie said, I'm Paul McCreary, Executive Director at BullyWilly.org. We're a local Cincinnati-based tech startup that specializes in school-based applications, both for mobile and computer. I first met Michael about a year ago through Congressman Winstrup through our mutual lobbying efforts, successful lobbying efforts, I should say. And I have to say, the thing right off the bat that impressed me about Michael and his business, Screen Education, is the fact that his drive and his passion for the subject. His research behind this is more extensive than anything that I have seen. And it is wonderful being able to have the opportunity to work with Michael this past year. From being mentioned on the floor of the U.S. Congress to standing in front of you here today, it is my honor and pleasure to introduce you, Michael Mercer with Screen Education. but I think I'll fail. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that a lot of people in this room are probably suffering from a bit of tech addiction. And it's quickly, technology addiction or smartphone addiction is quickly being recognized really as a global public health crisis. And in the last year or so, we've seen that there's a global effort underway that's emerging to try to address this problem. And Screen Education actually has been working on this problem for 3 years now. And we do that by performing 2 basic functions. So we conduct research on smartphone addiction to better understand it. And then we provide education in the form of seminars, webinars, interviews, articles, and other publications. We've identified 4 basic market segments that we plan on going after. So we have the business segment, the summer camp segment, the consumer segment, but initially we're focusing right now on schools. And one of the reasons we're focusing initially on schools is that smartphone addiction has become such a major problem for teenagers. Research has actually shown that teens on average are spending anywhere between 5 and 9 hours a day consuming entertainment content on their smartphones, which is just a stunning number. And in addition to just robbing them of valuable time every day, research has also shown that it's hurting them socially, emotionally, cognitively, physically, and neurologically. But it's also affecting their academic performance. And we've actually explored this a bit in our own research. We published a study, a national survey in June, and we found that smartphone addiction is having a major impact on the classroom. It's proven to be a major distraction for kids during class. We actually found that 72% of the teens that we surveyed nationwide said that they witnessed kids every single day in class, throughout the day, using their smartphones during class to play games, to use social media, and to stream video. It's also hurting distracting them during homework. And these kids reported that on average, that they estimate that they check their phones 9 times an hour while they do their homework, which is every 6.5 minutes. And we also know from other research studies that when they do check their phones, they frequently get lost and lose track of time, and they wake up 10 minutes, 20 minutes later, and they realize, oh, I was planning on doing this or that, and I got distracted. So we know it's really impacting their ability to learn, both in the classroom and doing homework. So obviously this is affecting their grades. And in the same survey, 41% of the kids that we surveyed admitted to us, so they actually told us that they believe that their smartphone is a major obstacle to their achieving the grades that they're capable of achieving. So we did some market validation testing this fall and spoke to about 25 schools around the country. This is just a rampant problem. The schools are just beside themselves. They don't know how to address it. And they basically said that they need help. So in response, we've developed a program of school seminars to help them address the problem. So the seminars have basically 2 goals. The first goal is to help the schools get the kids to stop multitasking, so to stop using their phones for entertainment during class and while they do homework. The second goal is to help the schools get the kids to cut down or reduce the total amount of time they spend on their phones every day. So to cut it from that 5 to 9 hours down to something more reasonable like 1 or 2. Now initially, when we will be launching this month, initially the seminars we provide are going to be in person only. But toward the end of the year and into next year, as we scale out, we plan on offering webinars to reach a larger audience and then creating on-demand content. And you can think of this really as a suite of seminars. So we've developed 4 distinct seminars, and each seminar is tailored or customized to address each of the major stakeholders in the school ecosystem. So we have 1 seminar for teachers, 1 for administrators, 1 for students, and 1 for parents.
And the idea is that we want to teach each of these groups how to work together as a cohesive unit to address the problem, because that's really required to address this problem. So essentially what we're offering here is a way for a school to launch or initiate a program of culture change at that school. There are three ways that we've sort of developed these seminars. Number one, our primary research. So we're currently working on our 11th research project. So that's informed a lot of what we're doing with the seminar content. The second thing is that market validation research that I mentioned we did this fall. And then the third thing, in the last year we've had the opportunity to speak in all of these venues. Some of it's been paid seminars gigs for us. But we've done radio interviews, we've done in-service teacher training for school districts. We've spoken to teachers, to parents, to kids. We've spoken at summer camps, and to business audiences too. So collectively, these three things have helped us to shape and define the seminar content. And we really see this as a pretty big market opportunity. And I want you to keep in mind, this is just for the school market. We're not talking about the consumer market or the business market, but for the school market. We don't know of any direct competitors in this market yet. So, and we have, in the United States, about 14,000 school districts, which translates into 100,000 schools, 3 million teachers, and 57 million students. So if we can, land 1,000 schools, that would essentially be 4,000 seminars with just 1,000 schools. The team that we have has some real strengths that are relevant to what we're doing. So we have expertise in marketing, expertise in educational publishing or textbook publishing. Several of the people in our group worked in the textbook publishing industry. Research, and then information technology. And what we're really looking for is three things. Number one, we need talent. So we're looking for people to join our board of advisors that we can rely on for advice when we're planning new initiatives or networking. We're looking for people that are willing to donate services to contribute to our efforts. So that really could be any business functional area. But in the short term, we're especially interested in getting help with advertising, public relations, publicity about this seminar program. We're looking for funding, as I'm sure you know. Schools are challenged to pay for things like this, so we have a sense for what they're able to pay, and we really would need additional funding to help subsidize and make it affordable for schools. So we're looking for corporations, foundations, and individuals. And then finally, we're looking for customers. So if you have any connections or acquaintances that are at a school where you think they might be interested in having us do our seminars, we'd love to hear from you. At the end of the evening, I'll be over on the left side over here at the table.
Next, I would like to introduce Jordan McDonald to bring up Strong Woman Swag.
Hello, my name is Jordan, and I'm a strong woman. Which is why I'm here today, is to help the program. Who gave me a new way of life would give other women a new way of life too. So Officer Streets, they helped change me to the strong woman that I am today. It was 476 days ago that I was a felon who was living out on the streets, homeless, hopeless, and I was addicted to drugs. And I didn't really see a future at that time in my life. But then I got clean off drugs, and even after I got clean off drugs, I was still pretty lost and I was scared because I didn't really know how to live life without the use of drugs. And that's kind of where officers stepped in at. And they literally took me off the streets of Cincinnati. So not only did they, put a roof over my head and some food in my belly, but they taught me how to be independent. They taught me how to handle my personal responsibilities. I mean, women even taught me how to fold my own laundry. I mean, it got to that point to where, I couldn't do basic needs in life. So not only they, helped me mature and grow, but they were able to they gave me the necessities I needed to start a new life. So with that was getting me off probation, getting my record expunged, and they even provided me, housing options and different programs I got into to get a job. There's a lot of different things that this program did, for me. So I mean, with the help of Off the Streets, today I celebrate 476 days clean. Drugs and alcohol. I now hold a full-time job. I have my own home, and I have my family back in my life today. When you support Strong Women's Swag, you give women like me another chance at a new life. And now I want to introduce to you Strong Women's Swag.
I'm Beth Schwartz, and we're Strong Women's Swag. Our team of 4 founders all work together at Cincinnati Union Bethel, or CUB, the oldest nonprofit social service agency in our region. Strong Women's Swag is our social enterprise concept designed to do 2 things. 1, to provide a new stream of revenue into CUB and Off the Streets, and 2, to create job opportunities and skills training for the women who come to CUB for services. Women are strong and resilient. We can carry the weight of the world on our shoulders, and yet it is all too easy for us to forget just how strong we are, or to think that we're all alone in our struggle.
But that's where Strong Women's Swag helps out. We're creating a brand of merchandise with clever messages and graphic designs that reminds women of our inner strength and boosts our self-confidence. And in wearing or carrying our brand, we proclaim our strong woman identity to the world around us, creating opportunities for women to connect with one another and to celebrate our collective power. Our vision is that the Strong Woman Swag brand will be instantly recognizable as a symbol of female fortitude. We want to be like the Nike swoosh for a women's empowerment movement. Imagine shirts, tote bags, coffee mugs, yoga pants, and more that shout out to the world about a woman's strength. While our final brand design is still in the making, the products that we're wearing give you an idea of what we're merchandising.
Strong Women's Swag is a brand that appeals to women 13 and older who identify with women's empowerment. The growing trends in female-oriented social movements, think Me Too, and cause-related consumer goods like Newman's Own or Tom's Shoes show us that there is a current market opportunity for Strong Women's Swag. And our own customer validation testing proves that 93% of the 500 women that we polled expressed an interest in purchasing our merchandise, particularly for athleisure wear. But what makes our brand unique is that 100% of the profits we generate will be reinvested into the women that we serve, directly helping women who are survivors of human trafficking and drug addiction. So let us tell you more about the great work that Strong Women's Swag will support. Among the many services that CUB provides, Strong Women's Swag will focus on just one, our award-winning Off the Streets program.
Here's the story of a typical Off the Streets program participant. Let's call her Lisa. After After being molested by a family friend, Lisa struggled with this trauma all throughout her turbulent high school years. At the age of 18, Lisa ran away with her boyfriend, Ted. He introduced her to drugs, which helped her to mask her pain, but it didn't take long before she was addicted. And when the money ran out, Ted coerced Lisa to trade sex for heroin. And Lisa found herself trapped in a world that she could not escape. She was arrested for solicitation and landed in jail, thankfully, because that's how Lisa ended up with us at the Off the Streets program. Exhausted and scared, but ready to get clean and start fresh, Lisa began her journey to sobriety. And after 8 months of the most difficult work of her life, and guided by the professional staff of the Off the Streets program, Lisa graduated from the program with an apartment and a job. Lisa is a strong woman.
Strong Women Swag is a new revenue stream for Off the Streets and CUB, allowing us to decrease our dependence on unpredictable sources of revenue like grant writing and fundraising. And operating our Strong Women Swag business is a key component of our Off the Streets program, giving our women who come into the program, many of whom face barriers to employment because of their criminal backgrounds, gives them an opportunity for job training and skills development. So, because the revenue that we gain from Strong Women Swag is invested back into our program, we look at our financial projections in terms of social impact. So, for every 250 shirts we sell, that means we can provide an additional services to one additional woman in our program, can provide 100 hours of clinical care or 150 hours of job skills coaching. This makes us a brand that is compelling to people who want to make purchases that go beyond the mere transactional. People who are looking for purchases that really make a difference. Because when you buy a t-shirt from Strong Women Swag, you're not just buying any t-shirt, you're buying a shirt that gives women hope for a second chance.
Our team of 4 strong women have complementary skill sets that bring together strengths in marketing and design, operations, leadership, and direct service expertise. We can rely upon the backbone of our parent organization, CUB, for foundational support. We can draw deeper into the bench strength that our board members offer, and we are fueled by our passion for CUB's and Off the Streets mission. We know that by bringing Strong Women Swag to life, we're giving women survivors like Lisa hope for a second chance and an opportunity to reclaim their lives.
So what is it that we're asking for today? We know we can sell Strong Women Swag merchandise, but our vision is to create and launch a brand. To that end, we are seeking expertise in the following areas: brand strategy, visual identity, and product manufacturing. With guidance in these areas, we know that we can tell a compelling story and quickly grow our customer base. In addition, we're seeking $75,000 in philanthropic investments to cover our primary expenses of inventory, personnel, marketing, and fulfillment. Together, we can amplify the great impact that we make and help even more women like Lisa to become stronger. So, we hope that you're inspired to buy a shirt, sign up for our mailing list, and we hope you'll join us by meeting us over at our table in the back so that you too can join the
Strong Woman Revolution.
We have a company that has generated so much hype in this community that they have people vying to introduce them. My 12-year-old self is freaking out about this. Without any further ado, Doug Sackett from Fifth Third to introduce Innovation Girls.
Yeah, so I'm here. I'm a vice president at Fifth Third in strategy and architecture, focused on innovation, but that's not why I'm here. I'm here because I met Richard a couple of years ago at Startup Weekend, where we formed a team of what felt like the only people over 40 in the room. But we had a lot of fun, we had some great ideas, made some great connections, and so we stayed in touch over the last couple of years. And a couple months ago, he told me about Innovation Girls. And Innovation Girls' mission to bring teams of young women into businesses around the country, across America, to solve their innovation problems. Wow, that is amazing. And they're going to use the proceeds from that work to fund the education of those girls through 529 plans. Wow. Oh, and they're going to further take those proceeds and invest them in helping other women start their own women-owned businesses. Wow. So I was blown away by the breadth of their vision. And as a father of 2 daughters and a partner to a strong woman, I really saw the incredible potential of what they were proposing. But I was also fortunate because I got to see one of their project teams present their work to a slate of executives in a room full of really enthusiastic people. And watching these girls, 9 to 14, presenting their work so professionally, the ideas so refined, their process just so mature, and seeing the reception of the audience and the stakeholders in that room, I realized what it was that they are actually building, okay? It's a time machine. So it's a time machine because they're going to let us experience the future today. And how are they doing that? Well, for our girls, for our daughters, they're going to learn valuable lessons about work and life decades before they would have otherwise. And for the parents and mentors of those girls, we're going to get to see them learn and lead and excel in the business world that we might not have, in a way we might not have ever seen in our lifetimes. And finally, I'm excited for everyone else in the world to get to see a glimpse of a future where we have more women in positions of leadership and power. It's just amazing what they're talking about doing here. And I'm so excited for this opportunity for Rita, for Richard, for our daughters, and for the future. Now I'm going to hand the mic off to Sunny Parr from Kroger, who's going to tell you a little bit more about some of their work.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sunny Parr, and I lead the Kroger Foundation, and maybe ironically work for Doug Sack's wife, who is the strong woman that he was referencing as his partner. So I have a really, really cool job, right? So aside from directing the philanthropic strategy and grant making across the Kroger family of companies, I get to launch the $10 million Zero Hunger, Zero Waste Innovation Fund next month, which is incredibly exciting. And as a pre-launch event, we actually co-hosted with Spry Labs here at Centrifuge an RFP for solutions to help end food waste, right? So we had about 50 RFPs come in to queue in about 10 days, and one really stood out, right? There was a group of girls who did design thinking in our stores and brought us, the senior executive and leadership of Kroger, several solutions, and just really inspired the entire room. They got a standing ovation. And on top of that, our CFO matched the grant that we gave as well with his personal funds. So that's really exciting as well. So I'm here to proudly introduce, thank you so much, Rita, Richard, for having me, the Innovation Girls.
Let me tell you about the black walnut tree. We've all had maple syrup on our pancakes. Did you know that you can extract sweet, delicious syrup from a black walnut tree? Yes, the black walnut tree is all around us in our community, yet many go untapped for its syrup. We believe, just like the black walnut tree, untapped young minds are all around us, and when you tap into them, you get amazing creative syrup. We are Innovation Girls. We drive business innovation through young minds. Hi, I'm Marabella, and I'm 12 years old. I love to play volleyball, basketball, tennis, and soccer. I enjoy reading, cooking, and playing video games. But statistics say that by the time I turn 15, my confidence will drop by 30%. I will most likely drop out of many of the activities I love, and I won't feel smart enough for my dream career, even though I have straight A's. That is frightening. Furthermore, my creativity will continue to drop. NASA ran a test on 1,600 children that measures the ability to come up with new, different, and innovative ideas. 98% scored in the genius level of imagination. By the time those same children reached high school, only 12% scored in the genius level. That is very scary. A few months ago, I found out about Innovation Girls. They help young girls ages 7 through 17 continue to be creative, confident, have fun, and save for college. It was a no-brainer. I joined Innovation Girls. Just like the maple tree, the Innovation Girls coach taps into our young, genius mind to extract real, innovative ideas. Innovation Girls lets me be the creative genius that I am, and the coach guides me through a disciplined process of design thinking so my team and I can solve real-world business problems and help businesses grow. Let me explain. Take Joe. Joe works at Corporate X. He is looking for new ways to solve old problems. He sent us his problem. We use our proven process to come up with an awesome solution. We share it with a bunch of people. If we get a thumbs down, we go back and rework. When we get a thumbs up, we send the solution to Joe. Joe is happy. Corporate X is making more money, and many young girls are saving for college. Kroger had a problem they presented to Innovation Girls. Their Zero Hunger, Zero Waste initiative. The coaches guided us through a disciplined process of discovery, empathy interviews, brainstorming, and mind mapping. We were 9 girls, ages 8 through 12. We came up with a ton of ideas. The coaches consolidated our ideas and we presented them to the senior management. They loved our ideas, and we got paid for solving a real problem. Not only did we get recognized by the Kroger, the CFO was so excited about our solution that he took out his own personal checkbook and matched the corporate award. Not only are we having fun with new friends, learning 21st century skills, creating new ideas through virtual reality, and solving real-world problems, I am also saving for college. The Kroger job allowed Innovation Girls to establish 9 education funds. 70% of returns on each corporate engagement goes directly to the education funds of the girls. Another added bonus, my mom sees me in a different way. She comes to me for advice in designing her business. I now know, I will never forget, I now know Mirabella can change the world. Let me introduce to you the mom and dad who set out to solve a problem for their 2 girls, Rita and Richard.
It is such a thrill to work with these young ladies. They're just amazing. Richard and I have worked in the innovation space of the CPG industry for over 30 years, and in the startup world for 10 years. Our life's purpose is not only to provide entrepreneurial opportunities that are otherwise unavailable for girls, but to get to the heart of what has prevented so many young women from realizing their fullest potential: confidence. We foster their innate creativity and equip them with the 21st century skills that they need so they can transition from adolescence into successful, strong, confident women. By engaging them in the corporate world at such a young age, they're able to have their ideas valued and financially rewarded. In 5 years, we will put $2.2 million in education funds of girls all over the country. We will engage in 90 paying corporate clients, and we will reach $7 million in revenue. We will launch our virtual reality platform, which will enable us to reach all diverse backgrounds of girls all over the country, all over the world. We need the help of the community to reach our goals. If If you are a business that wants innovation through unfiltered minds, and believe me, it works, we would love to talk to you. If you have a daughter who you would like to see as an innovation girl, come and sign her up today. If you have the capital and you'd like to invest in our business, we would love to talk to you. Please visit us at our table right in the middle here. Thank you very much.
Okay, so one of the things I wanted to mention, I talked about it earlier, the value of the coaches here, and it really makes a difference in these companies. So if you've got any level of business experience and you want to share what you've learned over the years, if your company has people within it, individuals that you want to elevate in terms of their skills, and at the same time give them an opportunity to give back to this community, come see me, because we'd love to have a conversation with you about how we can create a partnership around coaching. It's fun. So next, I want to start the process of introducing tonight's special guest. This is a journey that started 2 years ago. When Flywheel came out of the first year of its accelerator, we were trying to figure out how we could make the program better. And so we started doing benchmarking other companies or other accelerators around the nation in the sector of social entrepreneurship. And one of those companies that we ended up benchmarking was an organization called Fledge. What we really liked about Fledge was the way in which they invested in their companies. Very similar to the thinking that we had. So it was through that I got to know a little bit about Fledge. And then earlier this year, I had an opportunity to get to know Looney Libis even better. In the 2 years since I first got introduced to Fledge, they've grown substantially. From an accelerator that's based in Seattle to now locations all around the world, running this impact accelerator that they do. One of the things that's really different about them is the way that they approach investing. And that is that rather than doing traditional venture capital, they take a very different revenue-based approach to it. And we really like that. So with that being said, I want to play a little bit of a video. Actually, Josie's going to help me with that. Looney's going to move his way up here. And you're going to hear a little bit about this interesting venture capital model that they have in the startup space.
The book that explains is pretty thin. It is almost that simple.
So we're doing this in a pretty informal fireside chat format. We'll have an opportunity for some questions toward the end. So if you have those questions, scratch them out on a piece of paper, make sure they're questions, and we'll send a microphone your direction for that. So I guess the first thing, Looney, I wanted to give you an opportunity to do is to tell a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey and what brought you to Fledge, why you started it, that kind of stuff.
I wound up in Cincinnati.
And how you ended up in Cincinnati.
So I'm an entrepreneur. I started my first company at the age of 22 in 1992. And subsequently done 7 more since then. First 5 were in tech. 4 of those were venture-backed, so I do know the venture capital model pretty well. I took a whole lot of money from venture capitalists in return something. And then I started hanging out in the back of this crazy little business school in Seattle called Bainbridge Graduate Institute, which subsequently merged into Presidio Graduate School. And it's a business school. It teaches everything you normally teach in business school, except it teaches you how to do good through business. And I was still a techie at the time, but after 9 months of that, when my tech company left and went to New York on me, I couldn't do another tech company. I had to do something impactful in the world. And what I decided to do was to help other entrepreneurs with their journeys. That turned into Fledge, which was this little local program, just like the one here, just like Flywheel. We do 7 at a time instead of 5. We did that in Seattle, and just Seattle for 4 years. And then I decided to share that with the world. So that's how we got to 12 cities.
So tell me a little bit about this whole notion of using revenue as a basis for funding companies and how you arrived at that. And maybe just for the audience, maybe just a little bit of an explanation of the nature of venture capital investing, how it traditionally works.
So venture capital's been around forever. It started in the 70s, like after I was born. Everyone always thinks it's forever, like hundreds of years, but it's not. It hasn't really been a big industry, like $1 billion industry, until the late 80s or early 90s. Like the dot-com bubble was when the venture capital industry became something important. And then they went a little overboard. And their model's also really simple. They put money in a company in exchange for some ownership, and that company promises them nothing. Nothing. They never get a single payment from that company ever. They only ever get money if some other company comes along who wants that company more than them. Then call that an acquisition. Or if that company gets to be so big that they can go public, which used to happen a lot and basically never happens anymore. So that's the normal model. And they're all looking for these incredibly high growth companies that are like Facebook, literally like Facebook and Google and Apple and Uber now, because those are the ones that can give them outsized returns. The rest of them basically fail. 7 out of 10 times they get nothing back from those companies. Or they get back at or less than they put in. So that seems a little nuts. The only other way that companies get funded really in the United States is debt. But banks don't do loans to startups because most of them fail. So that doesn't make any sense. And so I was looking at this when I was trying to figure out how do you do an accelerator for social good companies. And I hit the wall after about 10 minutes talking with a partner. And I get there's no other way to invest. And then I had an epiphany. I was literally, ironically, officing at a venture capital firm. They gave me an office after my company moved away. And one day, like 2 years earlier, the partner from that firm walked into the board meeting we were having, super excited about this latest investment he made into a company called Revenue Loan Company, which is now called Letter Capital. And he was explaining how that works, and they do a revenue-based loan, not equity, but loan. They're the most prolific of their type now in the world. They do about $1 million a week. So that's something on the order of 150 deals a year. And they do it in the form of they give money to a company. That company then has to pay them back 1.5, 2 times the amount they gave them over a 2-3 year period. But they only do growth capital, they don't do tech. It was a good idea to start with, but it didn't quite work exactly the way I needed it to.
So one of the things that I really liked about Looney's model and why it makes sense here is that the companies that go through our accelerator, like the companies that go through his, an exit, that big IPO is just not in the future. And yet you heard today, there's some really good companies here doing really important work, and they have that opportunity to make those profits, so they are investable from that standpoint. When I look at the companies that are in your portfolio, and it's reflected by where you run your accelerator, it's not just in the US. Can you tell us a little bit about why you have operations around the world and how that is influenced perhaps by your funding model?
It's partially by the funding model. It's partially by the fact that we are the conscious company accelerator. We care about impact as much as return. We don't give up any impact in what we do. And there just aren't enough impactful startups in Seattle. So it's pretty pretty left-wing, progressive place, but nonetheless, there aren't enough to pick from. Not enough good ones, investable companies, even in my model. And so we had to go and ask the rest of the world, well, we had to ask others to apply, and they did. And about 2 years in, about half the applications were coming from 40 countries overseas, and then 50, and then 90, and we started bringing them in, and we liked them. And so now, these days, most of the companies we bring in are from overseas.
Wow. So one of the things, when I give people a tour of Union Hall, and I bet if I ask for a show of hands, probably at least half the people in this room have received a tour from Bill about Union Hall. One of the things I talk about is this VC model, which is a little bit like going to Churchill Downs and putting $1 on every horse with the expectation that one of those horses is going to give you a 10x return.
With the expectation that
every horse is going to give you right. In effect, what happens is one of those horses allegedly gives you that 10x return, and over that entire investment of $10, you maybe make $5. Is that a pretty good analogy?
If you do enough investing in small companies in huge quantities, you can actually make 2.5 times your money back. The odds of you being that investor that makes the 2.5 times your money back is 1 in 3.
So the thing that really attracts me to your model, one of the other things that attracts me to your model, is that what this means is if you do a good job of vetting companies, you're getting a return of that revenue immediately. You're not waiting for that revenue to come back in 5 to 7 years.
Yes, I had an investor come into my fund late last year. They got a redemption check, just like every other investor in the fund. And then they sent me an email at the beginning of this year going, why did we get paid back? Like they were investing in early companies and they got a check the year they invested. And they thought that was odd. And they wanted to double check I didn't make a mistake. And I didn't. They really deserved the money.
Does that make it easier to pick companies to invest in, particularly in the social impact sector, that return starts coming back immediately?
So we're because we're doing this globally, our trouble is only picking 7, not finding 7. So we're overflowing with deal flow.
That's a good position to be in when you run an accelerator. I see a couple of accelerator managers in the back of the room, and I know that's something that they think about all the time. With this, can you describe some of the success stories that you have, things that companies that have really done well, or maybe it's the story of every company?
No, certainly not every company. Probably the biggest leap so far. So very first session of Fledge, we did 7 companies, 6 from Seattle, 1 from New York. One of those companies actually was from Vashon Island, Washington, just in the middle of Puget Sound. 4 hippies. They would say that was wrong. 4 hippies living on ramen, running a nonprofit that designed cook stoves. And they walked in with a 70-page report on how to produce cook stoves in Kenya. No one had ever done that before. And at the very end of the last page, it goes, we need $4 million to do this. For-profit company, which was unheard of in that space. Brought them in because the world needs cook stoves, and because if it succeeded, they could pay us back, right? Lots of revenues there. It took 18 months to get the revenue, to get the financing. The very last press conference of Secretary of State Clinton announced the money as part of a UN project. And they are now producing something like 15,000 stoves a month, doing about $1 million in revenue a quarter. They employ 160 people in Kenya to do this. And they have now sold about 500,000 stoves, which means they have improved the lives of about 2.5 million people in Africa. So that's a pretty good story.
It's a great story. So when we think about this world of impact investing, that is investing that has, by design, it's expected to create a return, but it's also expected to have this social impact. One of the hypotheses that we have in this community is that there are individuals that right now have that traditional philanthropic dollars that they are trying to figure out what to do charitably. And the hypothesis is that they really don't have a good means or good way of investing those dollars, not donating those dollars, but investing those dollars in companies that provide a return. And so, against that hypothesis, what has been your experience, and what kind of advice would you have for that potential impact investor that's sitting in the room right now?
Right, so I'd say for the philanthropists in the room, you are doing impact investing, but you are expecting a return of 0. Right? You're expecting to not get a dime back from anything when you hand over your money, and that's it's been that way for 100-something years, right? Since Carnegie told us this is what you're supposed to do: get rich, then give it away. Well, if you can put it in any form, it doesn't have to be my form. If you put it in any form where they give you back half of what you gave them, you're doing much better, right? So I personally look to work with companies that are, the way I usually call them is mission-driven for-profits. So it has to be a company that is solving a problem that actually matters to the world, which is pretty much everything that's not saving a minute or saving $1 for middle-class Americans. Right? So most companies are impactful in some way, mission-driven. If you're not, why? Why are you doing what you're doing? The path of just going down and taking Andrew Carnegie's, I'm going to be the richest person I can be, and then I'm going to give it all away before I die. Right? Why don't you just do both at the same time? So if you're building a business that's solving a real problem of the world, it's fine. You can get as rich as that can get you, and you're doing good in the world. You don't have to be a philanthropist anymore. So that's the world that I've been playing for the past 7 years.
Cool, I like that. How about we turn it over to the audience right now? Is there anybody that has any questions they want to raise? And I think Josie's going to field the mic. I see back in the back.
So, investor perspective.
And can you introduce yourself, please?
Mark Dawes, Queen City Angels, Hillman, Points East, Points West, North and South. So, what do the deal docs and term sheets sort of look like for this form of investing?
Okay, so you can do revenue-based investing either as debt or equity or a hybrid of the two. If it's debt, it looks like a loan. So we give you so much money. In exchange for that, you promise to pay us a single-digit percentage of top-line revenue until we're paid back X amount. But in the United States, to be a loan, it has to have a maturity date and an interest rate. So you just pick an arbitrary date, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, and you use the minimum interest rate from the IRS. On an equity investment, it's about a paragraph. You take your favorite equity investment term sheet in docs. You add in a paragraph that says, I'm buying your shares. You are required to buy back my shares. We do half our shares instead of all of them so that we have some upside. But it takes about this much text to put that in.
See the question here.
I need a microphone, but I'm Andy McQuaid. I'm on the board at Flywheel. I wanted to find out, do you have an average size investment that you kind of cap things at with these investments?
So personally, I do this through my accelerator. We write $20,000 checks to each company that gets invited in, or in Europe, it's 15,000 euros, which is a little bit less. We do some follow-ons. The biggest we've done is $150,000. There are a couple other funds in the world that do the same style. I mentioned Flywheel Capital. Their average is like $300,000, $500,000. I just talked to one out of Toronto. They do, what they say, $1, $2, $3 million checks. There's one out of London that does $5 million minimums. So it seems to work for pretty much any range.
Okay, thank you.
And introduce yourself.
Alan Proctor, Social Ventures Fund. We looked at this model in Ohio, and I'm wondering if you got around this problem. A 2x return that's paid back in 3 years is a 33% return, which would violate payday loan rules. So, but then if it takes 10 years, it's still at a fairly high percentage. So it sounds like expensive capital from a social enterprises. How did you get around the legal issue, and what, you must have certain deals that you require to get a certain growth rate to make this make sense for them?
Yes, we're aiming for 2.5 times cash on cash, which is the same as a successful VC firm. We do equity investing, not debt, so there is no interest rate. There is a return on investment, but it's not an interest rate, so there's nothing illegal about making a large return if you're investing in equity. What's the third part of that? Legality and...
How expensive it is.
Oh, expensive. Okay. The way I describe that to entrepreneurs, because they get pushed back on this too, is look, if you're going to go and get money from an angel or a VC, they're expecting to make a 10x return. Therefore, every dollar they give you is costing you $10. Now, you don't see it and you don't feel it because it's a good day when it happens. It's the day your company got acquired. So you're getting money usually in your pocket. And you just don't notice that they just got $10 for every dollar they gave you. And so if you're charging them a 2x return, it's an 80% discount. It's a $2 per dollar cost of capital versus 10. That's a really good deal for entrepreneurs, which is why Lighter can close 3 a week.
Hi, Looney. Thank you for coming in tonight. My question is in 2 parts. The first one is, what does the the biggest challenge that you saw? Because I noticed that you had 3 investments in the development market, Kigali, Nairobi, and Alexandria. So what was the biggest challenge that your company, that your fund faced in these developing markets, and what is the best takeaway or adaptation that your company's learned in dealing with developing markets?
Okay, so just to be clear, that was actually a map of where we run the programs, not where the investments are. So we have 82 investments in 27 countries. Those were the orange countries or where we invested in. Most of where we're doing this in the developing world, at least in Africa, are common law countries, former British colonies. Their law looks a whole lot like the US law. In some cases, they just took the SEC rules and trimmed them down a lot, like took the highlights. That's their law. So in those cases, it's no big deal. Actually, the biggest issues we've seen, we found 2 countries with capital controls. So getting your dollars out is hard. Not impossible, but just a pain. Most recently, we've come across a couple issues like, for those sophisticated investors, imagine if every time you change the cap table, you have to register that with the state. Yeah, Tanzania and Hong Kong are like that. So every time they do a redemption, they got to go and spend money, tell their country that they did this. And the very most recent one I had was in order to do a wire back to the U.S., they wanted a copy of my passport. So, okay, so I sent them, I have a PDF of that. That's about it. Other than that, investing in the developing world so far has been less risky with less failures than investing in the States. I'm not looking, there's no exits out there. I'm not looking for exits. That's why it's less risky.
Thanks. There you go.
Hi, I'm Walt Tracy, founder of a tech startup, and wondering, is there a structure for nonprofits that are revenue generating outside of donations and foundations, truly revenue generating, and what would that deal structure look like?
Sure. So both of them. One is a revenue-based loan, because nonprofits can take out loans. You can just back it on your revenues. Second is you can just do a rev share, period. It doesn't have to be a loan, and it doesn't have to be equity. You can just say, as an investor, I'm going to give you some money, and in exchange I get a piece of your revenues or royalty based on your sales. That very large investor in London does all their investing in that form. So they don't call it debt, and they don't call it equity, they just call it a royalty share. Right? And to be clear, that's actually the #1 way films are invested in this country. They're invested in investors getting a point, per point on the films, and a point is a percentage of gross revenues.
Okay, without any more questions, there's a couple things more I want to mention and a question for you. First of all, what really gave me the better understanding of his model is this book that you have in front of you. You want to do a shameless plug? So, it's about a 2, maybe 3-hour read, depending on how closely you study it. You can get those online. It's called The Next Step for Investors, Revenue-Based Financing, and Looney Libis. If you just Google that, you'll find it. And I actually have a few copies downstairs. So if you're super interested in this, see me afterwards, and I can probably take care of that for you. But this is your first time in Cincinnati, kind of, sort of. You want to describe your experience here so far?
Sure, I landed at like 11 p.m. last night. So of all the places I've been in the entire world, it reminds me the most of Pittsburgh. Right, that makes sense, right upriver. I went to school at Carnegie Mellon for 4 years. But I think it is the first time in Cincinnati. It felt, I've been in Seattle for 27 years. I grew up on both coasts, New York and LA. It feels like a city that used to be bigger, because I do know that for a fact that there were more people here. It just felt like they were missing some people. But there's a whole lot of stuff, especially I talked to Bill before I came here, there's just a whole lot of stuff going on here. It's clearly a place that's coming back up and getting more exciting, and I'm sure I'll be back here sometime.
Let's give Looney a round of applause.